Berkshire Hathaway Home Services sales executives, for our video message of the week. All right, we are still focused this week on ensuring that we have the best year ever in 2018. And to start today's video message, I have a question for you. Would you consider that you have a client thought process, or would you say you have an agent thought process? Now, think about that, but I have 3 key tips for you today that I think will help drive this point home. And I want to start by saying this. I promise you that the 3 tips that I'm going to share with you today at some point will determine if you're going to take that listing or solidify that buyer. All right, so listen up. These are powerful. All right, let's get started. Let's begin with an agent thought process. I know what clients want versus a client thought process is I ask insightful questions to be sure. Look, for those of you who've been in the business, you know what, a good amount of time or very long, whatever the case may be, is no doubt, I think you know a lot about clients and you know a lot about the business. Not the point. Not every single individual has the same thought process. And as soon as you want to package everyone in one, you'll make mistakes. So step 1 is each client is different, and you can't skip the questions even if you think you know. Second, this again is agent thought process first. I have a killer listing and buyer presentation that covers what's important to sellers and buyers versus this. I listen and learn by the questions that I have asked, and I am prepared with the tools in my arsenal to focus on the areas that is important to each and every client. Huge difference, huge difference. I've asked those questions, I've listened and I've learned from those questions, and now I have everything in my arsenal, okay, that I can launch with. But once I know, you know what, I'm not going to use everything in my arsenal. I'm going to use the areas for this particular client that I know is important to them. You know, let me give you an example with your best friend. Think of your best friend. Now, they're your best friend. You know them really well. I promise you this. There are things about your best friend that you don't know. In fact, there's probably things that you could learn about your best friend that would surprise you. Doesn't mean bad. I'm just saying just in general. Guys, every time we assume we know, we make mistakes and we miss true opportunities. The other thing we do when we think we know is we leave important aspects, important tools, important opportunities out of our presentations because, well, we don't need to talk about it because it's just not that big of a deal for this segment of client. Wrong. They're an individual. Don't make those decisions because if you do, their experiences and their thought processes will be different than yours and they may go in a different direction. Third, my listing and buyer presentation share my successes and tell my story, all right, versus my listing and buyer presentations repeatedly support what is most important to each client. Now, I am not here in any way, shape, or form that you shouldn't talk about your successes. That's not the message. But every one of your successes should tie back to what's most important to that individual client. See, you got to think that next step. Not just tell them about you, but tell them why they need you. And by the way, they need you because you're ultimately going to help them with what's important to them. Let me give you an example. Let's say you're working with a seller that is most concerned with their move up. Okay, so the reason that's holding them back is their fear, and I know you've talked about this in the sales meetings of, well, where else am I going to buy? How am I going to find my house before I even sell this house? So guess what? If I know that's really important to them, don't you think that my successes, everything I do, everything I can help them with, will be there to solve that main issue. Because for this particular client, it matters big time. Look, guys, you're out there every day. I know you know the business, okay? And I know you care about your clients. The kicker is there's a difference between caring and truly listening. Ask those questions, learn what's most important to them, and then, be it buyer or seller, present to their needs. Have a great week, everybody. We'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.